Good morning, sports fans. Saturday, July 31st, 2010. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on 96.3 WLCN. Cameron Kurtz, and welcome back Josh Komnick. Josh is back in the saddle today, and Josh promised me you're not going to leave me for a while.
No, I won't be gone now. I've got my vacation and my wedding out of the way for the summer, so I'm done with that, and going to be here for the rest of the time.
Well, there you go. We're glad to have Josh back here with us. And Josh, we're out at State Bank of Lincoln today in their new loan department at the corner of Chicago and Broadway Street here in Lincoln. So we'd like to thank them for hosting us today. And Josh, we've got a lot of topics to talk about today. A lot of news coming out of the NFL with players signing. A lot of news coming out of baseball. Had a couple of trades going on this week, of course. Baseball, that trading deadline, today, last day of the month. So a couple more things could happen with that before the day is out. We've also got some local stuff to talk about, but a whole host of topics on our agenda today. But first, a big story coming out of the NFL right now. The number one overall pick in this year's NFL draft and the number one pick for the St. Louis Rams, quarterback Sam Bradford, and the Rams have struck up a deal worth 6 years, $78 million. And Josh, here's what's even more interesting about that. $50 million of that is guaranteed money. So regardless if Bradford even takes a snap or walks out and, walks out in the 91 and gets hit by a bus, he still gets $50 million regardless.
Well, he doesn't, but somebody would.
Well, somebody's going to get it. If they want, they can make the check out to Cameron Kurtz, but somebody will get that.
The highest rookie contract ever in the NFL went to Sam Bradford. And is he worth it? We'll find out, I guess, but quite a bit guaranteed. That guaranteed money is getting out of hand anymore in the NFL, where these guys don't play it down and still have the opportunity to get $50 million before they could get hurt in training camp and break both their legs and never be able to play again. But they've got $50 million, which is absurd, and it's getting worse.
Those are record contracts, $78 million. Of course, $50 million of that guaranteed. Bradford has been working out with the Rams, but like you said, Josh, this guaranteed money, kid never takes a snap. His college career, a very good, solid career, but he's had little trouble with injuries. Did come from a good program, but he had a pretty good supporting cast there at Oklahoma. Yeah. So coming to St. Louis, where the supporting cast is
not so good.
Right, not as strong. He's with an offensive line that's had its share of troubles over the last couple of years. A rookie that'll be on the offensive line for him this year, and then also another offensive lineman who's just a year into the league. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, an offensive line that's had its struggles and more share of weaknesses rather than strengths when it comes to that. So he's going to need a lot of protection, needless to say. So take it for what it's worth. But callers, what's your thought on this? Like Josh said, this guaranteed money anymore, it's getting out of hand. 648-5510 is the number to call in for that. If you want to go ahead and talk about that, what's your thoughts on it? Josh and I, we've kind of rattled off here about the last 2 or 3 minutes, so you know where we stand on it. But it's pretty interesting.
Well, I got a question for you as a Rams fan, and we have, I know, many Rams fans in the listening area. Were you upset when they didn't go get T.O.? You've got a rookie quarterback coming in that gets a ton of money and doesn't have a lot of weapons on the offensive end. Were you upset as a Rams fan that you didn't go get? I know you can talk about T.O. in the locker room. You can talk about his touchdown celebrations and that, but the guy he's a receiver. He's one of the best that we've seen. Were you upset as a Rams fan for not getting him?
No, absolutely not. As far as Terrell Owens going off to Cincinnati, and we'll get into that in a minute. Just my thoughts on it, I think the chemistry that he would bring to the Rams would not be the best fit for a rookie quarterback. He's a very talented receiver, definitely one of the best in the league, and probably one of the best that we've seen here in the last couple of years. Not taking anything away from that. He does have the numbers to back it up. However, as far as a rookie quarterback, I don't think the connection would be quite there. That's my 2 cents. But callers, if you want to chime in on that, we welcome all comments on that. 648-5510 is the number to call. But while we're talking about it, talking about T.O., going off to Cincinnati, he now joins Chad Ochocinco and the rest of the Cincinnati Bengals offense there. Was that a good fit for him, Josh Komnick? Do you think that with T.O. and Ocho Cinco getting together, two players who, for lack of better terms, are kind of egomaniacs, if you want to put it that way, get them together, and they're promising the Cincinnati fans a Super Bowl.
Really?
Already.
Well, I don't
and
know
we're not even to the
far.
preseason yet.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd go that far, but when Ocho Cinco had T.J. Hushmanzada there, they were a pretty good tandem, and they've got a good quarterback. Carson Palmer's always been good if he can stay healthy, but I don't know. You add two characters like Ocho Cinco and Terrell Owens. It could be fun to watch. It could be a cartoon. You just don't know what's going to happen. But when you put two receivers like that, with a running back that's performed well last year, they're going to have a good offense again, and even better with with Terrell Owens. So I don't know if it was a great sign. We'll find out. You never know about T.O. because he can catch 10 balls and put up 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the next time he'll be complaining he didn't get the ball.
What do you think of teams making their training camps now? We see a lot of teams holding several mini camps. Used to be, just even a couple of years ago, it wasn't like one of these deals that was 20, 30 years ago. I'm talking just 3, 4 years ago. Training camp would be 2 weeks long.
Right.
And they would have to, pack up, get away from their families for 2 weeks, and it would just basically, that's what it was. It was a training camp to where they focused on nothing but football for an entire 2 weeks. Now you see a lot of teams that transition into these mini camps that just go on for 2 or 3 days at a time, and then they may take 4 or 5 days off in between, then have another camp. But the players are close enough to home to where they can go home, see their families, and they're not in that football mindset 24/7 like they were before in these 2-week-long camps. What's your thought on that?
Well, I think the mini camps are okay for those first couple year players, the rookies, the guys that are still getting used to the NFL, that kind of thing. I don't know that you see a lot of the Julius Peppers and the of course, you're not going to see Brett Favre, but the big
I don't think we're going to see Brett Favre until the first game of the season.
But the big-time players, I don't think you're going to see a lot of them at those mini camps. I think it's mainly for possible new players that came over in a trade, new coaches trying to learn the players' systems, that kind of thing, and, of course, rookies and first couple of years players. I think that's okay for the mini camps. Most of the time, those are young guys anyways, so they can get away with nobody back home. For the family, but the training camps are great. I think everybody should have to. I don't care if you're Brett Favre or Peppers or anybody. I think you've got to be at every training camp, every session. That's just part of a team.
We're going to step aside, take another commercial break, and when we come back, we will talk a little bit of what's going on in local sports. Got a couple of stories coming out of the land of Lincoln. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Cheap Seats. We'll be right back.